What's up, y'all? Welcome to Three Brothers. Nope, that's a lie. Two brothers. Nope, that ain't right either. One brother
There
and
he
a shot
is.
of milk. We're
There,
flying solo
there he
on
is.
this lovely Easter Sunday. Hope everyone's having a great Sunday. It's just Rich and I here. Jack, that's Rich. What's up? He just flipped. And today we're talking about Three Body Problem, the new Netflix series that dropped recently. But before we get to all of that, Rich,
Yep.
how has your week been?
Well, my week has been interesting. Not really. It's been just work. More work stuff. Always work stuff. Whoever told me being an adult was the thing to do, but they lied. I want my money back.
I don't
Um.
think anyone ever said that in the
Yeah.
history of
Yeah.
civilization.
No, kids. Kids say it. Kids say, I can't wait to grow up. I can't wait till I'm out of this house. And then you realize, oh man, I got to pay for everything.
Uh,
Um. But anyway, my week is all right. What have I been watching? I've been watching. Oh, Invincible. Caught up on
yeah.
that. That was
Mhm.
pretty interesting stuff, bro. Yo, first of all I got to say is Alan. That's right. That's his name. Alan, or was it Paul? I've,
Alan.
Alan.
Alan the alien.
Because
Yeah.
he also played because the voice actor for Alan plays Paul, right? Anyway, that's different. That's a
That's
different
not
movie.
Seth?
Isn't that yes? That's Rogan. Yeah, that played
Seth
Paul.
Rogen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So watch that. First of all, Alan's coming into his own. That's all I'm gonna say. Y'all need to watch it. What else? That's about it. I haven't caught up on my usual anime stuff. So I'll probably jump onto that after this. I did finish watching the Ones Who Live, the Walking Dead with
Oh,
Michonne and Rick.
yeah.
They wrapped that up, and that was pretty heartwarming. There were some questions. I was like, "What are we doing here?" But you know what? I feel like The Walking Dead has reached out into the realm of I don't know, like almost superhero status of some of the things they've been doing.
Hmm.
So yeah, but it was good. It was a good watch either way. I recommend it. And that is it. That's it.
Well, you need to make more time for content this next week, Rich.
I'll try to. I'll try to.
Um, so let's see. I did very little gaming, a little bit of Final Fantasy. Uh, some life stuff happened, which took me out of the initial play. So getting back into it was a little like, had to commit to sit back down. And then when I was reminded that it's only the second installment of a three-part installment, that took a lot of momentum out of me too. So I just really haven't had a lot of time to jump into it, but I did a
Mhm.
little bit of gaming. I did watch Invincible. Come on,
Okay.
man. It's
Yeah.
good. It's Invincible. And I don't know how you didn't catch up on the X-Men.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm tightening the belt around here, as you noticed when I do my show and tell stuff. I'm not bringing any new stuff, so I'm tightening the belt. So I got to cancel a few subscriptions, and
No!
one of those subscriptions was Disney Plus.
No!
I might switch something around because I realized X-Men was not bad, so I might want to finish that up, and I also want to finish the Bad Batch. But yeah,
X-Men X-Men's great, and this last episode was really good. Uh yeah. So that's pretty much what I did. We got ETC in the house. Rich, I'll let you bring up the chats if you're able to do that.
there we go.
Hey, Walking
It dead
Deaded
it itself.
itself. Deaded.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen the new one, so there's that. What else was my week? Yeah, a lot of work, I guess. I'm still working on this arts and craft project, which I'm very interested to unveil at some point. It is an
Yeah.
epic
Yeah.
Death of Superman backdrop with, you notice I'm missing a bunch of my toys. This thing is epic, Rich, and when it is ready, hopefully all the brothers will be here to see this thing unveiled because I'm only going to do it once.
All right.
And that's pretty much been my week. No, I got a question I want to ask you.
What's that, Jack?
Nah, never mind.
But, huh?
I think we can skip it. I was gonna ask. I was gonna tell you an Aquaman joke, but my humor is feeling pretty dry today.
Oh, jeez.
So,
What?
yep.
Nani? What?
Ah! Gotcha. All right, we're gonna skip all that stuff. Oh, hey, look, Connie Alaska's in the house. So excited for the big reveal. Yes, and you should be.
Yeah, and this was exactly what. Yeah, what?
Wait, but look at the next one. Look at the next one, Connie Alaska.
Those are pages.
Got
Those are
it. She got it, and I got you, Rich.
okay.
Happy Easter, everyone. All right, so we're gonna move on down, skip all the lights. We're heading down the road. Ha
Dry
ha ha.
humor.
She got it, and we're gonna find ourselves at the collector's corner. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's show and
Show
tell
and tell
time.
time.
That's right, Rich. Show and tell time. And what we're doing for show and tell, taking our toys out of the toy chest, our video games out of the vaults, our comic books out of their cases, and we're showing them to the world. They can be worth millions of dollars or just sentimental.
All
Rich,
right.
would you like to do the honors of starting first?
I'll go first. I don't know if I showed you my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I probably did. My Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cartridge. I'm now looking for
Are
with
they all
someone.
in red?
Hmm. Yeah, they're all in red. Yeah.
Crazy.
But that's not what I want to show you. This has been sitting here for a while. I think I might have showed that already. What I am going to show you is I know I showed this one. Oh, reach to the back. So I know I showed my Gwen Stefani. My Gwen Stefani.
Stefan.
my my Spider Gwen from across the universe, right?
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
don't think I showed her in just her regular civilian clothes because I picked this up at
Oh,
random.
sick.
So she's holding her drumsticks. Got her little piercing in the eyebrow and whatnot. And yeah, that's it.
That's a good
Here,
deal.
here are both of them right there. Boom. Look at that. What I got this from GameStop? Yeah. So I'm more than likely to pick this one up in the mall and this one up at my local GameStop, which are two separate places. So that's more than likely what happened. And yeah, that's what we got. What
Pretty
you
good.
got there, Jack? What's going on
Pretty
with
good.
you?
All right. I'm gonna show something from an old collection, and then I'm gonna show something from a new collection.
Okay.
So, since X-Men is just killing it right now, I'm
Hmm.
showing off my Rogue and Gambit #4 cover. This is when she was in the Savage Land.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not exactly a risque cover, but it ain't for all the kids out there either.
Yeah.
Pretty good looking cover, and we did see Rogue in this Savage Land outfit in the last X-Men episode. Spoiler!
Really? All right.
Oh yeah, she's getting it on with Magneto. Spoiler! All right.
Gambit's not going to be happy with that.
Oh, he's not happy. Monomi, he is not happy. All right, so now I'm showing off a new collection. It's not one I asked for. It's one I guess you'd say I inherited. It's a stamp collection, Rich.
Oh, all
So
right.
here's a book, and if you open said book, there are all these stamps in it. And on the first page, we got 1932. This is a plate book. Let's see if you can see it.
Yeah,
Of
yeah.
stamps. And this is a 2-cent George Washington stamp.
Stupid me. Here
Oh,
we go.
yeah. Hey,
There
here
we
we go.
go.
We skipped all that. So this is a 2-cent George Washington stamp. It's a little
Yeah.
fuzzy. And then she pretty much got this whole plate book filled out.
Nice.
Yeah. And then, Rich, I'm not going to go through them.
But
In these bins, I have organized and counted stamps and put them all in seals.
wow.
And then I'll show you an example of what's in those bins. And I'll tell you how many there are. So here's an example of some of the stuff that's in those. There's sheets of stamps. These are Babe Ruth stamps,
Yo. All
right?
right.
And these Babe Ruth stamps are 20-cent stamps. She's got 20-cent stamps in here, 25-cent stamps, 50-cent stamps. 10-cent stamps, 2-cent stamps. I mean, just sheets and sheets and sheets of stamps. There are approximately 17,630 something stamps that I counted with a face value of just under $5,000 face value, right?
Okay.
So I have no desire to have a stamp collection.
Uh
I've
huh.
got comic book collection, I've got baseball cards collection, I've got comic book cards collection, I've got toy collection. I don't want a stamp collection in my life. But I have these stamps now. So now what I've tried to do is organize because I'm borderline OCD, right?
Okay.
So I've organized them. I've divvied them up. I've uh, written down what they are, the face value of said stamps, and now I'm making calls to try to find out if I can get rid of these stamps. Because do I really need a million stamps in my life so I can never have to buy another stamp, but I can send whatever letter I want? Maybe, but not really.
All right.
And they don't really have value to them other than their face value. But they actually don't even have face value if you're trying to offload them.
Huh.
So I found a couple places. There's an online place that says they'll take like 30%, they'll give you 30% of the face value. But most of the places I've called that are local will give you about 8% of the face value of the stamp. So to have $5,000 worth of stamps that are actually only less than $400 if I got rid of them is a little depressing.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, you didn't buy them, so you also is also that.
That's true. So I take it. A spoon collection is out of the question. Yes, I'm not looking for a spoon collection. But since you brought it up, ETC, I did get a few spoons too. Some of which are really cool. Do you want to see them?
Sure, let's see the spoons.
I'll show you some spoons. They're right here. So
Connie, Alaska. He definitely needs a mini spoon collection.
yeah. So look at these. So these are Holland spoons. They're like teaspoons.
Okay.
They're they're dipped in silver. They're also not worth anything, but they are kind of cool because, like, look at this windmill actually rotates.
Oh, look at that. All right.
Look at that. So no ETC. I don't need any more spoons though. Thanks though. All right, and that was show and tell.
All right.
I
Good
think it's time
pickups.
for some news.
It's time for
Job
the
breaking
news.
news.
All right, it's going to be a quick news week. Feel free to jump in if you got anything you want to add. Our first bit of news is The Matrix is reportedly getting a new video game installment
Really?
titled Awake.
Okay.
All right, that was the first bit of news. Second bit of news: Jean-Claude Van Damme is starring in a new action film called The Darkness of Men, or The Darkness of Man. And the trailer just dropped a couple days ago. It looks pretty okay.
Hmm.
Kind of like, he's like some hitman, assassin, bouncer, bodyguard, man on fire type dude protecting a kid whose mother was part of a drug cartel ring thing and they deaded her and now they're going after the kid or something.
Wow. Okay. That's sounds original.
Yeah. Our third bit of news: Hugh Grant is in a movie starring as Tony the Tiger.
Wait, what?
Well, I should clarify. It's actually only a cameo, but he is playing Tony the Tiger in a Netflix film that's being directed by Jerry Seinfeld, titled "Unfrosted: The Pop Tart Story," and it is a movie about the creation of the Pop Tart. And it actually looks pretty hysterical.
Interesting. All right.
You might like this one. Dragon Ball is getting a theme park, and it is set to be built on a 500,000 square meter plot of land. It's going to feature 7 different areas, some of which are Kami's house, Capsule Corporation. There's a planet. All these things. Seven different locations. It's going to have count them, five state of the art rides, and it's going to have over 30 individual attractions. It
Where
is said to be an unparalleled theme park.
this is in Japan, I'm assuming.
No, you'd assume wrong. It is going to be built in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, okay. I mean, just another place I'm not going to go to. Great, great.
Hey, man, now you're going to have a reason.
Yeah,
And, Saudi Arabia's got that oil money. So mouse money is one thing, oil money is another thing. Whole nother thing.
Dragon Ball Z. All right. I mean, they'll probably knock it out the park. You seen that? What was that? Somebody tried to do like a Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory. I think in like Ireland. And it was
Really?
like, yeah, it was like an event, and they sold tickets for it, and it was the worst thing ever. It was so bad. Oh, I wish I saved the pictures for it. But people wanted their money back. They called the police. They were like, "Yo, we want our money back." It was it was like
They
the
called
lowest of
the
lowest budget.
police
Yeah, because they literally just set up like plastic tables. Like they were like pouring juices out in cups and like here and like little very, very, very low budget. They didn't put no effort into it, but they sold tickets for this thing, and people were waiting to go. They were like, waiting to get this Willy Wonka type of experience, and they came in there and like just someone had like a little bit of face paint smeared on their face, and they were Oopa Loopa, you know?
Well, I don't get the feeling that's going to be the Dragon Ball theme park.
No, yeah, yeah, yeah.
ETC says, speaking of Matrix games, which do you think would be better? Enter the Matrix or Matrix Path of Neo?
I feel like the Path of Neo would be good.
I agree with that, but I feel like it should be like one of the other incarnations of Neo or a Neo we haven't seen
Mm,
yet,
mm,
because then you can kind of do your own thing with the story, but you're still playing the game.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I feel that. Was the juice sanitary? I doubt it. I highly doubt it. It didn't look like it was. Nothing there looked sanitary.
In other video game related news, there's a new Marvel video game. It's called Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra. And
Oh,
Rich, it actually looks really good. You play as Captain America in the 40s and you play as Black Panther in the 40s, which is T'Challa's dad.
right. Yeah.
And it looks like it's the new Unreal Engine, and it looks like the most recent God of War video game style.
I think I saw like a little preview of that. They did a little animation of it with T'Challa and Captain America like fighting on a bridge or
On a
about to fight.
bridge.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Which is probably the lamest part of the trailer, from being honest, because you're like, okay, here we go, two heroes fighting again, and then they're going to team up after? I ain't seen that one, but it
yeah.
does look good. The gameplay looks pretty good. The graphics look sick, and so we're getting that. In other news, there is going to be a new installment into the Chucky Child's Play franchise coming up. Yay, something to look forward to.
Okay,
Thunderbolts has officially begun production. And my last bit of news for today is Star Trek 4.
okay.
Star Trek 4,
Star Trek 4.
uh, the Chris Pine Star Treks. So Star
Okay, all
Trek
right.
is being written by Stephen Yoki, who is the creator of the HBO series The Flight
Uh,
Attendant.
the flight. I've never seen that.
It was
All
all
right.
right.
Well, I got a couple pieces of news. Speaking on Marvel, we also have another Marvel game called Marvel Rivals, where you pretty much go head to head, two teams of I believe four, and you go after each other. It's like I'm forgetting the name of the game.
Marvel Capcom?
No, it's not Marvel Capcom. It's just Marvel. It's just Marvel heroes. Like you're all fighting heroes, and I believe you got a few villains in there. And it's objective based. It's I'm forgetting the name of the freaking game. It's a very popular one, but it's based off of that. Um, it looks exactly like the said game, which I have yet to say. Overwatch. Excuse me. There we go. So it's pretty much Marvel
Oh,
Overwatch.
okay. So
So
it's like third person running around.
yeah, no, it has some first person in there. Anyway, and then also, I'm not sure if this is good news or bad news, but Cyberpunk 2077 is sharing Hogwarts Legacy's fate, where they are not putting out any more updates for the game, and it seems like the developers are moving on to the next Cyberpunk. So,
I think that's true with the Baldur's Gate 3 also, right? They're not putting any more updates on that.
oh, I didn't even hear about that one. But yeah, they're slowing down. They're slowing down all the updates. So get your play out of it now. Not saying that you won't be able to play it, but you're just not getting anything else after once they're done.
Hmm.
Yep, and that's it.
And that was the news.
That was the news. And yes, hopefully it is better than Avengers because Avengers was a major flop.
Oh, yeah.
The Marvels, yeah, and the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that was the news, and
That
now
was
we're
the
heading.
news.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we're moving on to it's the debate section, Rich. So
Let's get ready to rumble!
all right. So here's the debates. We got two debates today. We'll start with the first one.
Hmm.
Now I was debating about this debate also because it could be a little spoiler esque. So today we're going to be talking about the Three Body Problem, the Netflix series that's just dropped. And our first debate question is, if you could give this series a better title, what would you call it? Give me two better titles if you can, and one worse if you will. So there may be some spoilers about the content and what these titles are.
Hmm. Okay. 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 Um. Well, you said two. You
Two
did say
two
two.
better, two better, and one worse. And listen, I was struggling to come up with something better too, honestly, right after I sent it. And I was like, "Ush, I don't know about this."
Mm.
So for those of you who don't know, there's a little bit of spoiler, but not really. Um, Three Body Problem is, ETC has a hysterical offer for suggestion. Okay. Are you putting that up? He'll put it up. That's the other one.
That's the other one.
Menage
Menage a
a Trois.
trois. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah.
well, there you go.
The
Um,
Eiffel Tower. Okay.
so Three Body Problem is what is the breakdown of that title is it's a celestial body like Earth, a planet stuck in between three suns. So the problem is with three suns, the gravitational force that it exudes on the planet as it rotates around one sun, getting stuck into another sun, or getting stuck in between all three suns is a problem. It's a three body problem that doesn't scientifically exist if it's only between two suns. It's a three body problem. So that's the name of this content, Three Body Problem. And we're going to see if we can't generate perhaps some better titles for this content. Rich, you want to go in rounds?
I wasn't even thinking about the sun portion of it, but I got the proxy war, considering that they're not actually they're here, but they're using us to kind of kick things off
That's
to
good.
prepare.
No, that's
So
good. Wait,
yeah.
wait. That's good. That's good. I'm in fear of giving things away. I wonder if we should almost do this debate when we review the, the subject. Yeah, proxy
Yeah,
war.
yeah, proxy war.
Proxy war is a very good. Actually, it's a very good debate. It's a very good title. Okay, I'm gonna go with a 400-year drought,
400-year drought.
which
Yeah,
will make sense when we talk about the content.
yeah. That's one of your good ones.
No, I don't know. They're lateral, maybe.
All right.
That's definitely lateral.
Um, this one, it's it's obvious for me, but it's also been used. So it's kind of like a good and a bad. Secret Invasion.
Yeah, okay. I call that lateral, but it makes more sense for the content. Um,
What? Rosie O'Donnell, Whoopi Goldberg. What?
I get, I get it.
Three
I
body
get it. I
problems.
get it. I get it. That's very good. That's very good.
uh,
Okay. Okay.
okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay. Um. Okay. Uh. Here's what it probably just should be called.
Mhm.
TPD, which stands for technology, progress, destruction, which is probably more accurate for the content.
Okay. All right.
It's as like the reason why I thought of this debate in the first place is I was like, what kind of like cryptic three body problem? And then when you watch the content, we'll talk about the content. Eventually, by like episode 4, you understand what the content's about, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
And so I feel like something like TPD is equally cryptic, and then you understand what it's about.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess so. Yeah. So now we getting into the worst.
Yeah, if these weren't already them.
Yeah. The Raisoning.
The reasoning.
Yeah. Because that episode when they like, well, not even the episode where they kind of they tried them. I'm not going to say too much, but when we get into the content,
Oh,
the
that's funny.
reasoning will
No, no,
make
no.
more sense.
I get that. I get that. Um. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Sounds like something. Oh, hey, listen.
Hey. All right. Um.
Mm-mm. It's your
Yeah.
worst now, so you got to think too
Yeah.
hard
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. So what I should do is try to think of another good one, and that will probably this will make more sense when we talk about the content. Rich, you probably won't even understand this one based off watching the content. Um. Oh, actually, no. Here's what it should have been called. Here's a good one. The other ones were bad. It should be called bugs. It should be called bugs.
Yeah.
And I'll actually explain that in more depth if you remind me. I'll probably remember though. But bugs would make more sense not only for one reason, but for another reason you don't know. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Good debate. Now the second debate is because today is Easter. And many people celebrate Easter for hunting eggs and eating chocolate, and many other people celebrate Easter as recognition of Jesus rising from the dead, in which he stayed on earth for another 40 days, departing knowledge and wisdom to his disciples in preparation for heaven.
Yes.
So, with that inspiring this debate question, the question is, if you could rise anyone, and it doesn't have to be geek content related, from the dead for 40 days, where they will impart all their knowledge and information, hang out with you for 40 days, who would you bring back from the dead, and what would you hope to accomplish with the knowledge they impart to you?
Okay. Um, my answers are not going to be like I got two. I want to bring back two. Can I bring back two?
Sure.
Okay. It's not all insightful and like philosophical. I would like to bring back my grandfathers, my mother's father and my dad's father, because I would like to hang out with. Like, I met my mother's father, but I was like 2 years old, right? But I would like to talk to them because always talk to your elders, right? You kind of get an insight on your family. And I feel like, especially on my father's side, I don't have much insight on his family, so I would like to talk to him and like really kind of like ask him was, how was the family like? How was this person, that person, blah blah blah. What was the dynamic? You know what I'm saying? Like, is there more of us? Where are we? Where did you come from? Where did where did you go? Cat and I Joe. Anyway, but yeah, I would like to, like, to figure out more about my family. Like, I get a little bit here and there, but I feel like I don't get all of the story. Like, I got some of the stuff from my great aunts, but I didn't get like, there was still some pieces missing because I also had a great uncle who was filling in some gaps there. So I feel like if I had both of these sides, they can kind of fill in the rest.
Hmm.
So, like, pretty much family stuff.
Have you thought of or tried doing like genetic tests to
N-
trace your family line back?
No, on my mother's side, they're a little bit better with it. They have they got a family group chat, which they have all the family reunions and everything like that. So they kind of have that going back. So I know a little bit more on my mother's side, because we also applied for the farmers lawsuit, because my grandfather was a sharecropper with his brother. So that, but on my father's side, we don't know much. We really don't talk about that side all that much. So maybe I should try that.
You might. My buddy did it, and he managed to trace his family lineage. They gave him a book this thick. After what, like, he submitted all this stuff, he got a book like this thick of his
Mm.
entire family generations, all the way back, dating, tracing his lineage all the way back to the Mayflower.
Oh wow. Okay.
It made it a little easier for him because someone in his immediate lineage was Wild Bill Hickok.
Okay.
So there was a pseudo celebrity, and in his lineage, so there was a lot more points to connect. But also, same place I got these stamps from, there was a book about this thick. Actually, there's 3 books about that thick, about that person's lineage being traced all the way back to, geez, man, basically the same point of origin. And so there's something interesting about that. If you have the time and resources, I think it's pretty easy nowadays, because you just swab this, swab that, send it in, and they connect it to every other
Yeah, the problem is, then the government has my DNA, and then they're
person.
cloning me. They're
Come on, man.
cloning me. All right, listen,
You think they
listen.
don't have it already?
They're cloning me, and next thing you know, we got a, what was that? The Tyrone movie from Netflix.
Oh,
I don't want no. No, but yeah, I'd probably try that out though.
well, I'd say, I only say that because if that's something that, yeah, bring back Tesla, you think he'd enjoy the truck?
Oh no.
ETC says Julius Caesar, and Connie Alaska says 23andMe is what JWP did.
Okay.
So, yeah, 23andMe. There's a few out there that you can do nowadays. Okay, so let's see. Who would I bring back? I would bring back. I would have to bring back William Shakespeare. I'd bring back Shakespeare. I'd sit the guy down. I'd say, "Look, Shakespeare, man, I know this is weird for you. You've been gone for like 500 years." I'd spend the first couple of weeks just getting them acclimated to what modern living is. I'd get rid of the doublet, put him in a t-shirt, tell him to relax, man. I'd teach him how to piss in the toilet and flush it down, because he didn't got to take his thing out, and be like, "Shakespeare, man, relax." ETC says Socrates, another good one. But I bring back Shakespeare because Shakespeare is still a pseudo modern playwright. His stuff is still relevant today. He saw the world in a really interesting and clear way. And he was prolific, man. And Shakespeare coming back, even if we took a couple weeks to play hooky and just get acclimated to the globe as it is and travel a bit and hang out, I could still sit him down for a week and say, "Hey, man, monkey had a typewriter. Let's write something together." And then boom, we'd have another works. Or I'd be like, "Tell me how you see, just sit." Also, it'd be like, "Did you even write this stuff?" And he'd be like, "Nah,
Ooh,
man, that was Marlowe
that was
or whoever."
Marla. That was my roommate. My roommate did it.
Exactly. So it'd be great just to have him here to talk to him, and then the ability to pick his brain with what his process was and how he saw the world and what he thinks of what's happened in the last 400, 500 years. I also think it'd be great, someone like I would like to bring someone like Van Gogh back just to show him that he wasn't a failure. Van Gogh died knowing he was a failure.
Yeah.
And like I would bring Van Gogh back just to be like, Van Gogh, you gotta understand that even though you didn't see it in your lifespan, you are one of the single most celebrated artists who have ever graced the planet. And then I'd send him back to the grave and bring shit. He only need like 5 minutes.
Wow.
You know what I
It's
mean?
like, hey man, you're possibly a multimillionaire, if not a billionaire. Like,
Oh, no.
but you're going back now, all right?
His paintings aren't just valuable; they're so preposterously valuable you can't put a price tag on them.
He
You
did.
know, and he
Yeah, true.
never saw a penny. He needed therapy and emotional support. Yes, Van Gogh did. George Harrison, John Lennon, yes, of course, the Beatles, man. Also, just to bring all the Beatles back together would be great to have them tour for a month. Can you imagine that? I would love to bring the Beatles who aren't still around, join them up with the Beatles who are still around, and just tour them for a month and be a billionaire after that. Okay,
I want to bring back a
so
Doctor Who episode.
you'd bring back a Doctor Who episode?
Or something in there is a Doctor Who episode. Maybe
Maybe
Van
there's a
Gogh?
Doctor Who episode where they bring someone back. Oh, they bring the
Uh,
Beatles back, or he goes and watches Doctor Who is a time traveler, so
yeah, you can go
he's
anywhere.
not really bringing anyone back. He's just going back. So
Yeah, I would keep people away. I would keep a lot of like Shakespeare and what I would keep them away from TikTok and Instagram. Like you
oh
don't
yeah,
need it.
well
Stay
that
away.
would
Don't.
take the whole month.
Yeah.
They'd be done with
Yeah.
that. Shakespeare on the computer, I get no work out of them. Van Gogh, Doctor. So there's a Doctor Who episode where he talked to Van Gogh and said, "You're
Yeah.
not really good." Okay.
Soon as he got to this channel, he'd be like, "Oh, work?
Right.
What
You'd
are
be
we doing?"
like, this is what you brought me back for? Come on, man. I left you 38 scripts. What do you want? And he'd be like, I left you 38. Actually, I left you about 80 scripts. You found 38 of them. All right.
George
George Reeves.
Reeves.
Yep.
There was a Doctor Who episode where he brought back Dan. Yeah.
All right. Good debate. I think it's time to get to the reason why we're here
And why are we here?
for the main event.
What is the main event?
3 Body Problem. We are going to be talking about 3 Body Problem, the new Netflix series that dropped, I think, pretty recently. This week, last week.
Yeah, I think it might have been last week, but either way, still pretty recent. People still a buzz about it.
Yes, there's still a buzz about it, and then now we're going to buzz it down. So here we go. We're going to get to, I'll give you a real crude synopsis, and then we'll give our spoiler-free thoughts, and then we're going to just spoil everything probably really quickly, too.
Yeah.
So here's your synopsis. I will read the synopsis for episode 1 as the synopsis for the series.
Okay.
A string of unsettling events puts a group of brilliant friends on the edge. Puts a group of brilliant friends on edge as a mystery unravels, with origins tracing back to China during the Cultural Revolution.
Okay.
3 Body Problem. All right, spoiler-free thoughts. I'll go first.
Yeah, you go first. No, you go first.
Yeah, it looked like you wanted me to go first. I'll go first. All right. So here's my spoiler-free thoughts. I was watching this content and it was on episode 3, and I texted the boys and I said, "Is anybody watching this?" And Rich hollered back, and he said something along the lines of he was watching it but couldn't decide whether he liked it or not. And I said, "That's where I'm at. I'm watching it and I can't decide whether I really like it or not. But I'm enjoying it enough to keep watching it to discover whether I like it or not." and I finished the 8 episodes, and I kind of still feel the same way. Spoiler free.
That's pretty much where I'm at. I was waiting to see maybe they unfold something that'll blow my mind, be like, oh yeah, but it didn't.
Yeah, well, that's fair. So let's spoil this thing.
Let's spoil it. First of
All
all,
right.
what Lizzo documentary are we talking about, sir? Where'd it go? There we go. It should have been called the Lizzo documentary. Uh, uh, wait, what? Huh? Three body problem? Did I miss something? Okay, we'll get into it. Let us know.
Lizzo. All right, so let's spoil this thing. So for those of you who don't want spoils, press mute, hit like, subscribe, and then peace out and come back, turn your computer off to save energy later. All right. If you do want spoilers, here they are. I'm gonna blast through this stuff, Rich. So
Okay.
jump in and we'll fill in the gaps. I'll kind of go episode 1 through 8 real quick.
All right.
We'll talk about it while we go through it, or we can talk about it after we get done. So episode 1 sets us up. We're modern day, and this big event happens that puts the scientific community in a tailspin and on his head, basically proving that everything we think we know about the universe and how it works, we know nothing.
Mm,
There's a whole slew of the most prestigious scientists around the Earth that are just deading themselves
mm,
and or getting killed somehow. And yes, the mystery seems to be tethered to something that happened in China during the Cultural Revolution. And that's pretty much episode 1. Uh, Also, the big thing with episode 1 is it's just introductory episode. There's a whole slew of characters that we're getting introduced to, most of which are from the scientific community and extremely smart. We also get introduced to a cop, kind of detective cop, not really a cop, not really a detective. What is
Wongers.
yeah,
No, no.
Wongers?
Dashi.
What
Think
is
that
this guy's job? No one actually knows.
I thought he was like a private eye. Like,
He doesn't even know what his job is. As the series goes on, it gets less and less specific and more specific in the same right. But he's trying to piece together the mystery of all these scientists that are being killed. Now, there's a countdown on the wall written in blood. This scientist is missing eyes. The end of the blood trail in big bright blood letters says, "I can still see it." And we're like, okay. And we come to find out that there's a whole slew of scientists that are deading themselves in the same way. And I'll just keep
yeah.
using that word. All right. Episode 2 is called The Red Coast. And episode 2, Augie, who is a brilliant and beautiful scientist,
She is.
she experiences the countdown, and the countdown basically is you literally see a digital display in your environment, kind of like augmented reality, counting down to 0. And if it gets to 0, nothing good happens when the clock gets to 0, is what she knows. So Augie starts going nuts about this countdown. And she's put in a position where she's a brilliant scientist, by the way. She's
Mm,
created nanotechnology with microfiber, the strongest substance. There's like some Tony Stark technology, which is odd because we're in a real modern world setting, but she's created this nanofiber technology, which is razor sharp, can cut through any object. You can't,
yeah.
it's invisible to the naked eye, super Spider-Man strength kind of
Like
technology.
when they used it and they cut down the that was it a block of diamonds and she just went in there
Yeah.
just tapped it and it all just shattered.
And
Oh man, yeah, that was pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie.
and so she's been told by this person who we later find out who they are and who they're working for, that she needs to quit working on the nanotechnology before her clock gets to 0, because nothing good happens to 0. And honestly, what's cool about the series right now is there's a lot of mystery, right? We're watching a
Right.
mystery unfold. We're like, what is going on? What is this technology? Why is science upside down? What is going on with the world? Meanwhile, Jen, who is another brilliant scientist and friend of Augie and all these other scientists, we're gonna meet Will and Saul and all these guys. She is given a VR headset from what's the lady's name?
Yeah.
Wen.
Yi Wenji. Yeah, I
Yes,
probably
yeah,
butchered that.
Yi Wenji, who is an older, brilliant scientist, and she is the woman we see in this series of flashbacks in China.
Right. She's
Her daughter,
the daughter of the what was he? A physicist as well, I believe.
yeah, her parents were teachers and taught science and stuff like
Right.
that, and so she was cultured and educated at a time where culture and education was suppressed and you were killed for
Punished.
it,
Yeah.
punished, yeah, to say the least. She's got a cool, heart-wrenching but cool backstory where you see her, watch her mother be responsible for the death of her father. She's put in kind of a concentration camp setting, and then she's taken out of the setting to go to prison, and then taken out of the prison by some government faction to help look at satellite technology, sending probes out into space. And we'll get to that because some cool stuff happens there.
Mhm.
Anyway, she gives this VR headset to Jen.
Just
We're getting.
giving Sword Art Online vibes to me.
Oh
Like
yeah.
pretty much most of the VR animes.
And so Jen puts on this headset, and instantly she's in a world where it's like what you said, man. It's like she's in Sword Art Online. She's able to touch and engage with stuff on a visceral level where she can taste the sand and smell the salt air, and she's transported to, you know,
Some
uh,
type of feudal Japan, not Japan, China, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
yeah.
Some form of China.
Thousands of years into the past, she's transported. But she's right there. And so she starts getting obsessed with this game, and the VR game is basically putting her in a position to solve a series of problems,
Yeah, she
series
pretty
of
much
questions.
has to figure out how to save. Well, she has to figure out how the game actually works. She understands she has to do something to save to beat the game. What she just needs to figure out at this point in time what it is that she needs to do. Whether it's she needs to move on to the next level, save the world, save the people, whatever the case may be. She's trying to figure out exactly what it is that she needs to do.
Exactly. And right now the content's still pretty cool, right? We're like it's engaging and it's mysterious. Episode 3 is called The Destroyer of Worlds. Now, Jen is obsessed with the VR game at this point. Her buddy Jack, who is not a brilliant scientist, but very successful at whatever he did or does, this guy's got money
Yeah,
for days. He's got so much money, in fact, that he's creating energy drinks like The Rock is that has got his name on it.
yeah,
The guy's just got capital.
yeah. Never
So
understood. Well, just kind of go back first of all, my title, The Raisoning, we see in when Jim puts it on that she's with a feudal lord or someone of stature, and he has a girl, which I really didn't understand who she was. She was a servant, excuse me, she was a servant.
Well, if you
And
notice, that girl in a later episode, we see a picture of Yi Wen,
mhm,
how do you say her name, when she's young in Japan, not Japan, sorry, young in China, and she has her daughter with her. Her daughter is that.
mm, yeah,
So in that black and white photo of her and her daughter, the daughter of her is the image of this person who we keep seeing in the VR settings for whatever reason we don't know, but we do.
right.
Which
So
is there's irony to that because in episode 1, it's her daughter grown up that self deletes herself at the top of the thing, jumping in, jumping the equivalent of 4 stories into a vat of chemicals.
Yes.
And so, in the VR setting, they're trying to save and understand how to save the people, but also understand how to save this kid specifically.
The kid who lays out because they are shading they're hiding behind this rock, which they're trying to get shade from the suns. And the girl lays out, takes her clothes off, well, strips off her robe, lays out, and just literally dehydrates herself and flattens herself. And my man just walks up and rolls her up like a
Yep.
bedroll, and it was
Yep.
like, "Here, we gotta protect her." I
Right.
was like, "That was wild."
Which
The
makes
reasoning,
the reasoning, you're right. Exactly. Which makes no sense when you're watching this happen in humans. You're watching humans kind of do this to themselves. And so we're trying to understand what it is we're watching. So in episode 3, Jack, there's a wake, a vigil held for the head scientist teacher, her daughter, the
hmm
student's teacher who had deleted herself. And when they're there kind of paying homage and tribute to that, Jack finds Jen's VR headset, puts it on, is like, yo, what is this? He is killed like 3 times playing it instantly. You're not invited. But eventually he gets his own headset, is mysteriously shows up in his own apartment, and he gets obsessed with it. And then Jen and Jack start playing like an online game where they're playing together to solve these complex riddles to
yeah,
advance to the next level. And every time they advance to the next level of this interactive VR otherworldly setting, the consequences get more and more harrowing and outrageous.
the thing is, the worlds get destroyed, but they figure out one portion of that, so they kind of it's like a pass from
Right.
to get to the next level. So
If they can answer the why, then whether or not they accomplished it, they understand. So
yeah,
by that point, what they realize is it's a 3-body problem. And what they understand is that the planet that they are on in the VR setting is in between 3 celestial beings, 3 suns. And
mm,
the power of these suns are affecting the planet in ways where they'll have 100 years of peace and harmony, 1,000 years of peace and harmony, and then a decade of just chaos where they're getting melted from the heat of 3 suns, or they just have constant earthquakes because of the gravitational force the suns are exuding on the planet. And so this is where we finally understand the name of the content we're watching. The 3-body problem is about this little planet that's in the gravitational pull of 3 suns.
but
3-body
yeah,
problem. Um, so then we're on to episode 4. Episode 4 is called Our Lord. And episode 4 is where we finally understand what this content is about. And we find out that our Lord is aliens from another planet.
right.
And so it's actually pretty cool because we get this big flashback story with Yi's character
Mm,
uh, in China, where she's taken out of her prison environment and put in this government scientific facility on top of a mountainside with a giant, um,
it was a satellite.
satellite.
There. It's like a communications relay. They were sending out signals into space and seeing what comes back.
And she manages to break down this code where she figures out that there was a communication relay that China got a few years later, or 14 months later, or 14 days later, sometime later, because it had ricocheted off the sun and hit them.
Mm,
But she also noticed that the signal that hit them was had tremendous amount of more volume and power when it finally got to them. It took longer, but it went further and had more oomph to it. And so she got the idea, what if we point the satellite at the sun to amplify our radio signal and see if we can send this thing out into space a lot further.
Yeah, this is where I kind of had a little bit of a problem with that, which I get to some degree, but it's like we're doing science, right? We're trying to be scientific with everything, but then all of a sudden now we're going to throw in like superstition and like religious beliefs because they had a problem with pointing the ray at the sun or pointing the signal off and bouncing it off the sun because of what the meaning of what the sun meant to them. Which I was
Well,
like, what,
well, you got to understand at that point in China, they were warring with Japan, who is a rising sun, and so there was political ties that they didn't want to associate with pointing the satellite at the sun at the time.
but as we saw, like who would know? Like, how are they really
Who-
going to know? You know,
How would they even know? It was the
how would
idea of it. So anyway, long story short, Jen, not Jen, Yi points the satellite at the sun and shoots off a signal.
right?
And months pass, and she's kind of alone, as she's usually alone, just listening to things, and she sees she's getting a signal back. Months
Yeah.
later, she gets a signal back,
Hmm.
and she reads it, and the communication she gets says, "Do not respond to this. You're lucky that I'm the one who intercepted your signal. We are not a good race of people,
Yeah,
not people, creatures.
pretty much said like we will invade you.
We will invade you.
Yeah,
Do not respond to this. Do not respond to this. Don't send another signal."
right.
And Yi, yo man, this is maybe one of the best moments in the series. She doubles down,
She
and
got
she not only
super
said,
petty. She was like, "Oh, really? Challenge
not only,
accepted. Hold my rice wine."
not only does she send another signal, she sends a signal that basically says, we don't have the ability to to do right by ourselves anymore. And you got to understand, she's coming from like that World War II kind of era, and it's just seeing horrible atrocities done to people and herself, and what happened to her father because of science, and she's seen the worst of humanity, and she
Yeah.
basically sends this signal out saying, we need something
No, no, no,
to
no. It was more specific. She said, "I will help you."
Oh yeah, she says, "I'll help you take over this planet. We
Yeah.
need someone to govern over us." And okay, so cut to back to the modern era, and what we found out was, and we
A
get a
lot of
series.
time jumping, which Lawrence loves.
Well, it's not necessarily time jumping. What Lawrence hates is when you time jump. And actually, a little bit of time jumping might help this content, Rich, because there's 400 years to get through. We'll
Yeah.
talk about in a second. Time jumping actually might help this content. But this is a just one flashback. So we keep going from 2024 modern to uh, China Cultural Revolution. So we have a flashback storyline that keeps adding information to us. So I wouldn't really call it time jumping. Okay, so then what we got is, I guess let's jump to episode 5. So in episode 5, which is an insane episode, this is after we learned that um we're dealing with aliens. Aliens somehow, and this makes no sense, gave the technology to a group of humans to make the VR headsets,
Yeah.
which is somehow telling all the people who are playing the VR game the backstory of the aliens so they understand it. We then get privy to the information that there's a whole little microcosm of people that know about the aliens and are in preparation for the aliens coming.
Some
We
might call
learned
him a
that,
cult.
yeah, that's great, a cult. We learned that said cult is funded by a billionaire philanthropist who met Yi in China because he was trying to save a species of endangered birds. He came into a tremendous amount of money. Yi tells him about the radio transmission with the aliens. He f- he thinks that the planet needs saving too. He ends up funding a vessel. He puts the giant satellite dish on the ship in the
Hey,
middle of the ocean because there's no sanctions or government in the middle of the ocean.
right.
And they basically have at least 1,000 men, women, and children living on his vessel in preparation for the aliens. They worship the aliens. He's in direct contact with the aliens constantly. He reads them bedtime stories.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. Like he's constantly reading them proverbs and stories from books, and they have a great relationship, honestly. And it seems like the aliens are traveling to Earth because they genuinely want to. They need a place to live that's not stuck within a three-body problem. Earth doesn't have that, and they think they can coexist pretty well with humanity and help humanity solve some of their problems of warring and bloodshed. Now, the one caveat is it's going to take said alien race, the Santi. It's going to take the Santi 400 years to get
Yes.
to Earth. Now, they've begun their journey and they're about, 50 years into it. They're maybe 50 years into their journey, give or take, but it's going to take them 400 years before they reach Earth. And so what the cult is trying to do is raise kids and awareness of them, so three generations later they're prepared for the arrival of the Santi, the aliens coming to Earth. Okay, something crazy happens in episode 5 though. Episode 5, the guy is,
There's another millionaire, multimillionaire, billionaire, Thomas Wade, who is tracking the cult.
yes, Wade is above all government entities and globally and domestically. Thomas Wade is the guy we find out is in charge of the detective dude who's internationally jumping borders, try to solve the mystery of why all of these scientists were killing themselves. And Thomas Wade is about as high up the food chain as anyone can go. He's even maybe on
Right.
some levels above the president because he's internationally supercharged to who knows what this guy's job is. Anyway, so in episode 5, the philanthropist who's head of the cult is reading the Santi head of the Santi race, alien race, Little Red Riding Hood.
Well, no, it was Hansel and Gretel.
No, yes, I'll skip that one.
Okay.
I skipped that one. That was episode 4. So in episode 5, he's reading Little Red Riding Hood,
Right.
and Little Red Riding Hood is confusing to the aliens because there's lies and deception in the story,
Mm,
and the alien race is confused that the wolf is lying and deceiving Little Red Riding Hood, and that Little Red Riding Hood doesn't understand she's being lied and deceived to. And so the billionaire philanthropist is trying to explain to the Santi that humans lie from time to time. And
mm,
this is odd for the aliens because they don't lie. They don't have the concept of lying. It's not something they've ever done or advanced to or evolved to or had a necessity for. So we kind of come to understand that the Santi are probably telepathic in nature because when they have a
yeah,
thought, they express a thought.
yeah. I thought I was about to say they share they kind of share the same consciousness,
Right.
so you
So
really can't lie.
language for them isn't confused like language might be for humanity. And so the Santi in this setting with the guy come to the realization that y'all are a bunch of liars and liars can't be trusted and we can't
Mm,
coexist with you. And they go cold turkey. We
yep.
can't exist with you. And things get crazy at that point because there was like this bubble of protection over this community of this cult community, and the second the Santi left, there is no protection anymore, and there's a lot of like confusing. We'll get to some stuff that just makes literally no sense. But actually, let's get to one right now. So, the other billionaire, Wade, who's in charge of some international government agency, is actively going after the aliens and this cult now. And he comes to the conclusion that this guy's been talking to the aliens for decades, and he's definitely kept records of it. And if there's a record of it, it's on his boat, and we need to get that record. And so they come up with this plan to get the record. Now they say this, Rich. They say we can't invade the boat because if we invade the boat, countless people will probably be killed, and we don't want that. And we
Yeah.
don't want them. He says we don't want them to destroy the records or the archives. So let's not invade the boat. And they go, we can't bomb the boat because, again, we don't want needless casualties and we don't want to accidentally destroy the archives. So they go through all these things they don't want to do. And they come up with this plan. They go, listen, um, Augie, we want to use your nanotechnology. And she stopped working on it because of the countdown. They go, we
Right.
want to use your nanotechnology, microfibers, to create a thing to stop the boat so we can go get this thing. She doesn't exactly understand what they want, but she also must understand exactly what it is they're trying to do when they explain it to her and they set it up. So they basically make this giant cheese grater with
Yeah.
microfibers, and this scene is insane because this episode we see the cult and we get to know the cult, and it's a bunch of school kids and kindergartners and wives and kids, and there's no real military on the boat. This science and just people who are in love of this alien race that
I
they
don't even
believe.
think I don't think they were carrying guns or anything like that.
I saw not a single weapon. I don't
Yeah.
even think I saw a knife on the boat. And so this boat, they know that the boat is going to be tracking through a port in order to get back out into the ocean or something. So it's got to go through a kind of narrow canal area. And they, in a matter of weeks, managed to set up this giant pole that's hidden under the water that pops up out of
Yeah.
the ground, which has a million microfiber strings on it. And the boat is just going to drive through the microfibers and they're going to
Oh
see what
man.
happens. Now, listen, dude, this is the sickest thing I've ever seen. Spoiler alert. If you don't want to watch the content, but you like crazy stuff, go watch episode 4 or 5. Watch episode 4 and 5 because this is insane. The boat is cut in a million pieces. Men, women, children. It's so much
Yeah. And
just needless violence and
yeah.
destruction in the most
Oof.
horrific ways. I mean, it's so horrific. This episode, Rich, this episode is so horrific.
Yo,
And it's
people
like,
were getting sliced and
And it's
diced.
like, what did look? This massive boat. It's like stories of boats, like a billionaire's boat, right? It's like Carnival boat kind of setting.
It was like a freightliner almost. That's
Yeah,
what it was
but
like. It was like a
like,
freightliner.
yeah, just
But they
demolished. Like
yeah, they
not a
just
single.
retrofitted it for people.
Like, this whole thing is like a house of cards falls on top of itself as it crashes into the shores, and you're like, wait a minute, you wanted to prevent unnecessary destruction and you wanted to take no chance that this really small hard drive doesn't get destroyed, and your plan was to cut this massive boat into a million pieces, decimating everything on the inside so it collapses on top of itself and explodes in a ball of flames, and you think you're going to sift through the wreckage of that and find a hard
Yeah.
drive the size of my phone? Well, they do. They find the hard drive the size, and they just managed to not get chopped up or crushed or burnt or exploded. And I'm sitting there going,
Right.
this, although it was really cool. I mean, I got to be honest, it was very cool, and the whole
No,
idea is visually cool. Uh, s- it made no sense. It made
Yeah.
absolutely no sense that the brightest minds on the planet, instead of doing like a SEAL Team 6, kind of like invade the boat and get the thing and minimal casualties, they killed everyone on the boat, completely destroyed the boat, and it is a miracle that the small thing they wanted wasn't destroyed 100 times over.
I mean, the best thing, again, this dude has like government connections. He has money. Seems like it doesn't, there's no, money's not a question with this guy, right? They're going through a canal. Why are we trying to get through this thing? Like, have a SEAL Team 6 type of thing going on, like some mercenaries. Put a little bomb on the bottom of the boat so that it blows a hole, and they realize they're taking in water. They're in a canal. They'll beach the boat to avoid completely sinking, right? And then they can go and do what they have to do there to get the hard drive or whatever it is, because they really didn't know what it was.
They didn't even know what it
But,
was, but they found
but
it
the fact,
immediately.
yeah, but the fact you run the risk of chopping this thing in in pieces in hopes that you don't destroy whatever it is that you're looking for was just wild to me. I was like, it was cool to watch, but I'm like, man, this doesn't make any sense.
It made no sense. And instantly, you're following a group of people that you thought were highly intelligent, and you watch them make the most asinine decision, and you're like, I, 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 I wouldn't, I would, I don't know anyone who made that kind of terrible decision. Actually, I
Yeah,
work for some people that might make a decision like that. I'll take that back. I know some people that like making bad decisions, and this is definitely a decision those people might make. Not going to say any names, but I mean,
yeah,
it just made no sense. But it worked out for him. I guess it worked out for him. But what it did do is it scarred Augie. And Augie, again, is this brilliant, beautiful scientist who created the nanotechnology. And when she somehow was surprised what had happened, one,
yeah,
I'm like, what did you think was going to happen? You made a giant mousetrap and they drove through it. And there wasn't nothing left. And when she was walking along the wreckage of the boat, looking at dismembered children parts,
yeah,
uh, she was like, it hit her pretty hard what she was responsible for, and good, it should. And I will say they gave her 3 episodes of mourning where she went on a drink bender and she's just vomiting and she's like really psychologically traumatized by it. And so at least I mean, they really gave her room to kind of like process what she was a part of. Also, Jen, a lot of names in this content. Sorry, people watching. A lot of information in this content. It's a 3 body problem. Uh, Jen, her boyfriend, was also selected by the Wade character to kind of run this operation. But Jen has no knowledge. Nobody has any knowledge of what it was. Augie doesn't want to tell Jen exactly what happened. She's traumatized by it, and Jen doesn't know to ask what were you guys a part of. She doesn't even know her boyfriend's involved in the thing, but he is.
yeah. Oh, now you bring that up. I think it was might have been episode 2, maybe 3, where Jen is having dinner with Raj's family.
Hmm.
And she's explaining what she does and this, that, and the third, right? And it was cool. But then they were like, "Oh, well, at least you don't have to hear about Dad's, war thing." I'm just like, "What? Why are we diminishing Dad?" Then Dad talks about his war, like his war memory or what he
Yeah.
went through for the war. And when I tell you, it was he got his end of it. He got his people out, right? He got his men out. But the way he had to do it was just wild. And I'm just like, why did we talk about Dad's war story like it was just some like mindless dribble? Like this dude is a hero. Like what are we talking about? They really
Well,
they really talked about Homeboy like he was like like one of Dad's war stories. Like
it
dude,
also didn't serve the content. It was as frivolous to the content as Jen's story around the dinner table.
yeah,
Like it's one of those scenes where you're like, it's good acting and good storytelling and compelling, and I'm affected by it. Yes, but how does it serve the content? And I kept
yeah,
wondering about this content specifically. There are a handful of moments that are just like, are you helping to push the story forward right now? and I don't know that the answer was always yes. The other
Mm.
thing that happens in episode 5 is the Santi make themselves known to the world at large, and they take over all technology. They put a bubble around the earth that you visually see, and they call humanity bugs. They say, "You are bugs."
Mm.
And and the world knows that there is instantly, the whole world knows instantly overnight that there is an alien race called the Santi, that there is a religious cult following them that have been killed. They know that the Santi will arrive to Earth in 400 days, and they know that all these things are
Well,
true.
years.
400 days, yeah. 400 years. They know that they will arrive in 400 years, and all that becomes evident to everybody instantly because the Santi make it evident to everybody. They're no longer trying to hide the fact that they're on their way.
Yeah.
Okay, episode 6 is called "The Stars, Our Destination," and in this episode, we see the world begin to panic. We see followers, people who start clicking up, like they're gonna embrace the Santi, and people who want to rebel against them. And there's this whole idea that 400 years from now, what are we supposed to? We're all going to be dead, long dead and gone. And so
Right.
there's there's people who are embracing the idea. There are people who are rejecting the idea. There are people who want to plan for their future generations to be able to combat this idea. How you do that? So there's all kinds of like things happening. Wade, the other guy who's above all government agencies, gathers the world's greatest minds to prepare for a defense plan. How do
Right.
we combat uh, a race of beings that is technologically more
Yeah.
advanced than us?
Right.
Uh, and how do we set our future generations in the right step to combat them when they get here? And something else interesting happens in this episode, which make no sense to me. The Santi can't lie, but they also just divulge knowledge for no reason that helps them. And knowledge bit that they divulge to Jen, I believe it is to Jen, is that although they are technologically more advanced than the human race, it's taken them a billion years longer to get to this technological point because of their three body problem that constantly destroys their planet periodically. And what they came to the realization of, what Jen came to the realization of, and what the Santi told them was in 400 years' time, because now we're going to be at war with you instead of being in harmony with you, we're basically just it's a funeral a funeral procession.
Procession.
Yeah, that the Santi are saying they're basically just coming to their deaths because in 400 years' time, given the rate at which humans evolve technologically, we are going to be tremendously more evolved than they are in 400 years' time if
Mm.
we have our stuff together. Because in the last 300 years, in the last 50 years, we have evolved so much, and we're just that curve is going to continue,
Right.
which is kind of seems to be true. I mean, internet didn't even exist for us when we were kids. Cell phones
True.
wasn't even a thing when we were kids.
True.
And now, like, our world is so much more technologically advanced. It's like I'm living in things, whereas a kid watching Star Trek: The Next Generation, I now have these devices in my hand. So,
Yeah.
that's what the alien race is saying. They're saying you guys are going to obliterate us by the time we get to your planet.
So it's almost like what's even the point of coming to the planet? Like, why even try to start a war? Like, why don't you just try to come on like a peaceful terms? Like, hey,
Well,
listen,
what they come to the realization that humans are liars and you can't coexist with a liar. And they might be right about that.
yeah, I
Here's what
mean,
doesn't make sense to me, Rich. By this point, we learn that the Santi have sent two probes. They're called saffrons or chaffrons or something like that. And these things can be the size of an atom or as big as the planet. They can
mhm.
change size. They have complete omnipotent. They can be everywhere and nowhere. They can listen to every conversation. They can literally. They have the technology to make every human see exactly what they want them to see or see nothing at all. That's why they had the countdown in their eyes.
And
They have
the lights, the stars flashing,
They
Morse
made the
code.
entire they made the entire cosmic solar system above the Earth flicker in Morse code. They have the ability to basically interface and take over all um, forms of communication and technology, and they do. Right? We see them do that. We see them put "You are bugs" on every single computer screen in the entire planet,
Hmm.
and so what I'm confused of instantly, I'm confused that if this race wants to come to Earth and humanity is the problem, and the rate of which humanity is able to advance technologically is the problem, why don't they just wipe it all out? They seem to have the ability to instantly EMP flip a switch on the entire planet, or at least black out all the screens.
Well, that's the problem. The problem is they want the planet. Like they
Well,
want to
here's the
live
other
on Earth.
That's right. They want to live on Earth, but they don't want to live with people. So why don't you just make
Right.
it hard for people to continue to advance? And the other thing that's crazy about this is they instantly have access to every bit of collected information on the planet. They have it, and they have the
Mm.
ability to sift through it and the ability to understand it. And so they also have 400 years to advance, and they're more advanced. So I'm confused. Now, I will say this: I did look ahead, and Three Body Problem is book one in a series of three. It's Three Body Problem, The Dark Forest, and End of Death, or something like that. I
Okay.
forget something death. And then there's a couple other companion books that were written after. Now, in the original first three books, Rich,
Hmm.
and this is where the content starts getting hard for me. The second you introduce an alien race to content, the viewer, me, wants to see said alien race.
Right. Yeah.
That's not what this content is about. This content is going to be about the 400 years it takes said alien race to get to Earth and all the problems that humanity has just dealing with the idea.
You
Okay?
see, I would be down with that because hold on, let's be 100%. If you were to introduce the fact that aliens are real, and not only that, they're coming to this planet to take over, I
Yeah.
honestly believe there should be way more chaos in the world.
Yeah. And so, yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to spoil something for you, for everybody. I'm going to spoil it for you, Rich.
Okay.
In the books that are written after the first three books,
Mhm.
we do finally get a look at the aliens.
Okay.
Connie Alaska says the show sounds lame. Well, it's also kind of good. That's what's so hard about it. We just couldn't decide.
Yeah. It's like there's cool elements to it. I'm like, yeah, I want to know more about this, but at the same time, it's like, why am I watching this again?
Why am I watching this? Because
Yeah.
the second I understand that I'm watching it because an alien race is coming to Earth, I want to see the alien race engage with Earth. But I'm
Right.
not going to see the alien race ever engage with Earth. I'm going to see computer generated images of humans being spoken through like puppets by the alien race in Earth.
Yeah.
But
And
also,
also,
but also they don't even have to be in the VR headset. They can just kind of manifest themselves on the planet because they can take over your retinas.
Right. And I had a question about, I forgot, was it Tatiana? I forgot who it was, but the one who killed, spoiler alert, the one who killed Jack. Like, apparently she was
Oh yeah.
way strong.
It made no sense. So wait. So okay. So Tatiana. Now Tatiana is actually, if you've read the book, Tatiana is kind of a mercenary type figure, henchman for the group. Yeah, 50-50. It's a she's a henchman type figure for the group of the cult group of religious zealots, right?
Right.
In pro the alien race. But she's just a human. But she is set up with this ridiculous power set. She kind of does have a ridiculous power set, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like she was like, she pretty much like was fast enough to like speed to him, excuse me, and push him up against the window, which broke it,
Right.
and just was able to hold him there. I'm just like, she was like maybe what, like 5'5", if that. And
It
Ronnie
was
was,
really, yeah.
it was like, so are you an alien, or do you have some enhancements? Like, how are you this strong
She's just a
and doing
person.
what you're doing?
She's just a person. That was so weird when I saw her, because in that moment when she did that thing to Jack.
Luna FTS, what's going on? Who would win a fist fight? You or a life-size Eminem? Uh,
Well, Luna, it's funny you say that because here's the spoiler I've been avoiding, and I'll say it. In the companion books after the initial three, we get a look at the aliens. And Rich, I'll tell you that the alien race, the Santi,
uh-huh.
are about the size of a grain of sand. They're about the size of ants.
Get out of here!
I don't
What?
know. They are. They're about the size of ants. The invading alien race that sends a wild fleet, armada fleet of ships across the cosmos faster than the speed of light. Still going to take 400 years to get there. By the time they get to Earth, they are the size of ants.
So the ships are probably like the size of this water bottle. Like, you got
If
a
that.
bunch of these water bottles flying through space. Like,
Yeah.
what,
Yeah. Yeah.
bro?
What? What? Ants? I can't make it up. I didn't make it up. Well, look. Dune, the end of the Dune science fiction movie, the guy makes love to a worm and turns into a worm god, dude. Something like that. Listen, it's science fiction, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be odd. All right, episode 6. We kind of went through that. Oh, that's right. Wade puts together the greatest group of minds, come up with a plan how to combat the Santi before they get there, and they come up with this idea called what is it called?
The wall
No,
stairs
no,
or
no,
something like
no,
that.
no, 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 no. That's not Wade's thing. Before the wall facers, Wade comes up with the staircase project.
Oh
Yeah,
yes, yes,
staircase
yes. They're gonna
project.
launch a ship to intercept them and pretty much make contact.
Right. And what they come to the idea that the ship that they launch is probably going to take 200, 380 years to get to the Santi, but that still gives them over a decade. But the problem is they don't have speed of light capabilities. And
Right.
so Jim, and so he puts together this group. They can't, they just got bad attitudes, Rich. They're talking about
They,
all the problems and none of the solutions. And so
yeah.
Jim shows up and she goes like, listen, I got an idea. What if we put a series of nuclear bombs in space? We have a giant umbrella,
It's like a
umbrella
solar sail, something like that.
solar cell. Yeah. So when the bomb goes off, it pushes all the force into the cell, and the cell goes through these series of 5,000,000, 1,000. She said we need like 1,000 atomic bombs, and by the end, it gets to the end of it, it'll have centrifugal force, and it'll be flying through the space at 2 times the speed of light. And they're like,
Right.
okay, cool, let's do that. And you're like, wait, we're still in the year 2024, right? We have this ability, and they're like, no, but
Exactly.
we got this nanotechnology. And we're like, all right, better go get Augie. She's still on a bender because she didn't like, looking at dismembered child bodies. So they get Augie back into the fold to make this nanotechnology paracel. Oh, yeah. There's also their friend Will. So when Jack was deaded by Tatiana, Will, the other scientist who was lesser, inherited all Jack's income. He buys Jen a star for whatever reason. They're selling stars now,
Yeah, like
and
what?
he also has cancer, and it's bad. He's stage 4. He's not got much time left. They don't really go into any of that, and his character really doesn't have any significant value in the content. Maybe he does in the book, but he doesn't really in this. Long story short, Wade approaches Will. He says, "We want to send a pilot in the vessel. We're shooting off into space." And he's like, "Yeah, but it's going to take 400 years, 300 years to get there. And I've got like 3 days left." He goes, "Yeah, but we can't put a whole body in it. I just want your brain." He's like,
Yeah,
"What? I want to send your dead brain into space to the Santi. They have the technology and the capability to bring you back." And he's like, "Okay." Okay. And Jen doesn't exactly endorse the idea, but she also doesn't talk him down. So he's in love with Jen, and he decides to do it. So they dead Jack, and they cut it, and Will, and they cut his brain out. Also, they have this ability to kind of put things in a cryostasis, so the brain's still technically alive,
yeah.
even
Which
though it's not.
also, which also, Wade has proposed that he is going to go also not take his brain out, but go into cryostasis and pop out like once every year or
Once a
something,
week.
every 10, and like, try to like check in on things. I'm just like, bro.
So Wade comes to so they test it on a monkey, and the monkey survives the cryostasis for 3-4 months or something like that. And they pop him out. Maybe it's just 30 days. They pop the monkey out. The monkey is alive and cognitive. He's able to do the puzzles and solve the puzzles, and then he vomits because he's got a bad indigestion, and he tried to eat a banana. And so
Yeah,
Wade says, "Listen, here's the deal. I'm going to stay alive for the next 400 years in preparation because someone's got to lead the team. I'm going to put myself in a state of cryostasis and wake up, once a week or once a month or something like that for the next 400 years just to maintain." And like, okay.
yeah,
Um, Episode 7 is called Only Advance, which is Wade's plan. Wade's plan is to only advance and not retreat. And so the Staircaser project is on go, and they basically put the whole thing together where they cut the guy's brain out, they put it in the thing, and they launch him into space, which I think we get the resolution of that in the next episode. So in episode 8, which is called Wall Facer, so basically the UN, the United Nations, basically put together a group to combat the incoming alien race. Um, and it's called the Wall Facers, and they select 3 people on the planet. One
right.
of them is a great military general. The other is a scientist, military mind general kind of person. And then they put Saw on the team, and they're like, "What?" Or
Yeah,
Paul, whoever what his name is, Saw, I
Saul,
think.
Saul.
Saw on the team. And they're like, "Why are they putting Saw on the team?" Because he's
Yeah,
not brilliant, but he's very smart.
right. And also, Saul's attitude is 100% like, yo, this is not my problem. I don't plan on having kids. Like, I'm not going to be alive when these guys are here, when they get here. So why do I even care? He's pretty much just living life. Like, he's going, doing his job, pretty much what most people would do. Like, I'm just worried about my life right now.
Right.
You know?
Like Saw's like anyone who's not recycling. He's like,
Yeah. So, yeah.
What do I care what happens 400 years from now? I'm not going to be here."
Yeah.
And that's his take on the aliens coming. So, but for whatever reason, they put him in the Wall Facer project, and they put him in the Wall Facer project because instantly the aliens really start trying to kill him. And they
Yeah.
go, "Well, if the aliens want him dead, he should be in the project." And he's like, "What, just to put a bigger target on my head?" And they go, "You already got the target. Let's make you part of the thing." And so here's what the Wall Facer project is. They are going to give said individual every resource known to man, every drop of money, anything you want, At any moment's notice, it is at your disposal. You have no accountability to anybody. You will not be questioned. You cannot be held accountable for your actions. There's no ramifications. You don't have to do a shred of work that we know about, because all the work we want you to do, you have to store in your mind palace. It sounds like Sherlock Holmes would be the right person for this, but you're going to store it in your mind palace and create a plan. And when the time to deploy the plan is, that's when you tell us. and, and
But
Saul's like,
what? They're not going to live for 400 years, so they would have to pass this knowledge down to someone else. So
right.
are
And
there
so,
going to be generations of wall facers?
yes, clearly there has to be, right? Because the people who they've selected, one guy's like 50 something, the other lady's like 60 something, and Saul's like drinking too much. So, who knows what's going to happen? So there's that. And then, so Tatiana, the mercenary lady, later in the books, she kind of takes on the role of a wall breaker, I think is what they call them, the wall breaker. And so they're going to go try to destroy the wall facers,
Mhm.
right? So I guess so that's continuing story. Um, the staircase project led by Wade happens, and they shoot Will's brain into space, and he goes. They deploy the umbrella, and it
So
goes through the first nuclear bomb, and it's
when I
successful.
saw, I'm sorry, when I saw the design of that thing, I'm like, no one thought this was no one thought that maybe this might be an issue. How this thing is long cables attached to the sails, and then you got the capsule in the back of it, and it's just gonna detonate nuclear bombs and
Well, here's what's
nothing.
odd. Here's what's odd about it to me is, so the way it works is, imagine this is the top of the sail, and my head is the nuclear bomb. It
Right.
passes through the sail, explodes, and is pulled through onto the next thing by the force of it. But wouldn't the explosion happen around the time his head is flying near the bomb?
Yeah.
So it's a little odd how they did that, but they did it. There's very little room for error. You would think with something so complicated, they'd make it in a way where there's a little more room for error, but there's no room for error. So what happens is and also they don't have nearly enough nuclear bombs, but they have a few, so they're going to use them. And their plan is, what they want to happen is they want the Santi to intercept the probe in like 200, 300 years' time, so they can study Will's brain, and they're hoping that they'll recreate Will or something, and give him a generated body. What they don't know is the Santi are the size of ants. And anyway, so about three bombs in, what happens is everything's going well until one of the,
This is allegedly what they look like. Like
well, you know what that is.
that thing, because it's one of the things that can it can dehydrate itself and pretty much go into like a hibernation. I forgot what they call the thing, but
Yeah, I mean
that's
that little thing can withstand all kinds of horrific environments. So you think it wouldn't have such a problem with the three body problem? Anyway, the paracel thing fails after the third explosion, and Will's floating brain goes drifting off in a sideways manner, way off track and target. It's still
yeah.
moving. It's still moving pretty fast, and they calculate that it'll probably fly for 600, 700 years before it leaves the Milky Way, and then just keep on going to the third star on the right. And this is devastating for Jen, because she realizes that Will loved her and she loved him, and her boyfriend is probably not the best guy, because he doesn't mind dismembered children parts.
I'll shut my mouth.
And
But yeah,
and and that's kind of
that
where
was
we end. I mean,
yeah.
that's kind of where we end things with the series. The wall facer is going on. Oh, the last thing that happens is Tatiana is vindicated. Oh, well, Tatiana is sent to China, where she kills Yi, throws her off the side of a cliff, or does it in a less violent way, I guess. And then she's kind of in a secluded, dark, dark forest, I suppose. Maybe that's why the second book is called that. She's left in a forest, in like a camper van, and then randomly someone puts this, alien VR headset in her
Yeah.
camper, and she's her loyalty is vindicated. And the Santi say, "We're not done talking with all humans. We want to talk to you." And so they're putting all their chips in her because they've already kind of erased everyone else who they've been talking to for the last 50 years. But
But they are talking to some people because there was assassination attempt on Saul, and they caught the killer or the would be assassin. So
exactly, yeah. So we know. Well, I guess those are the wall breakers, right? They're
yeah,
trying to, and again, some people are siding with the alien race. Humanity needs help. We are just destined to destroy ourselves and everything around us, and we've proven that. And so, humanity needs a little help ushering in a better future, and they're putting their cards on this alien race. And that's kind of the content. There's definitely, based off of the books, there's at least 3 or 4 more seasons they can pull out of this thing.
yeah,
Again, based off of the books, it seems like we're probably never going to see the aliens in this content.
that's the
And when
part that bothers me.
And when we do see the aliens, are they going to be ants? They be the size of ants, and what do they look like? So,
Oh man,
and the other thing that's really weird about this content for me is, again, man, it's hard for me to agree to some of the terms because the aliens seem to have the technology and the capability to completely wipe out humanity's ability to communicate with them in a modern way.
not
And
not, not even that, but they can control machinery as well because they cut the power to Wade's jet,
yeah,
like
yeah.
so they can really wreak havoc on this planet.
And why are they not? Like, if it's a war setting, they kind of don't need any humans to do their biddings, and if they do, they just, why not plunge us back to the dark ages? And they don't seem to be doing that, at least not in this content. So it's a little,
Like the way I would think about it, they wouldn't plunge us into the dark age, like into the dark ages, because one, who would maintain whatever's left of the planet? Because if we all just like you know just die, you got nuclear plants that are still active. Once those go off, that will contaminate the planet. You got stuff like that. So they kind of need humans to kind of maintain the planet as best as we're doing right now, even though we're kind of doing a crappy job at that. But at the same time, why even expose yourselves? Why even just fly your 400 years here? When you get here, create the havoc, get rid of people, and then colonize a
well, they would
petri
almost,
dish.
but they would have to create the havoc now because what they said, at your rate of evolution, you will out evolve us by the time we get here.
But also, you also stated like if they're already so advanced to where they are, and they know that okay, they're going to advance. Like this human race is going to advance where we're at right, past us where we're at right now in 400 years. Why not keep like we're flying right now? Unless everyone is in stasis and or into the dried out state, and they're kind of like hibernation in their water bottle, flying through space. There's still some that are still up and active. Why don't they just continue to advance?
Right.
They're
And I mean, it's not like we understand the timeline in which they live.
right.
Uh, yeah. So there are factors we don't understand. Like, is the lead of the Santi going to be alive in 400 years? Are they also putting themselves in some sort of cryostasis? Do they just live for hundreds and hundreds of years? Do they have the lifespan of a bug and they're going to be gone in a week? They
Mhm.
just all have the same voice because it's a computer voice anyways, and they swap out every week. Like, we have no idea. Um, and I haven't read the other books, and I've only watched this content. So based off this content, I've got questions, and I
Yeah.
guess I feel the same way after watching the whole thing as I did around episode 3, where I'm like, I like it. I actually do like it, and if there was another episode past episode 8, I would have watched it, and I probably would have watched episode 10, and I'll probably watch season 2. there's something cool about the content and there's something unsatiating about it. It's like there's something missing. For me, there's something missing about the content, and it's probably the aliens. If the thing is about aliens and science,
Yeah.
but it's not. It's about technology. It's about um, it's about what did I say? It's about technology. It's about progress, and it's about the destruction of technological progress. And
Yeah.
so eventually, what like do we see? And here's the other thing that's weird about it. The thing is, it has a timeline on it, right? This 400-year timeline.
Hmm.
But the weird thing about a 400-year timeline is, are we gonna follow these characters until they die and then pick up new characters for the next 400 years? Do the aliens ever get to us? Are we just gonna follow this small group of people? Does this small group of people actually combat the Santi? Is this
Mm,
is this
man,
good, compelling content or it's not? The books have good reviews.
do that.
You know? Yeah.
Hmm. I might pick them up for a listen. But yeah, like who are we going to follow? You got 400 years. Clearly, obviously, people are not going to live for 400, or at least these characters here are not going to live for 400 years. So then, what is the rest of the story? Where you got 3 books for it? Like, how long are we following this? Like, I would like to see just the effect of the people knowing that the Santi are coming, and like how the general population is taking it. You know?
Well, I think that's largely what we're going to see. We're going to see the Earth dealing with the consequences of knowing that they're not alone in the universe and the impending doom of an alien invasion and how they deal with it. It seems to be the content mostly. In which case, I'd say the aliens are a secondary device, but it doesn't seem like that's the case either. It seems like they're going to play a primary role in in an odd way where they're able to kind of like manifest and take control of technology and your ability to engage with reality around you.
Mm. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure if they're going to come back with like another 2 seasons. I'm not sure if I'm compelled enough to come back and watch it. Actually, I'm lying. I probably will
I probably
because
will.
I mean, I'm that guy that has to finish it. They got to see it through. Like, how
But
does this end?
see, I'm not that person, but the content is just compelling enough where I'm gonna turn the page right now. But it's also like Will's character, right? Like Will started to have a really cool character where, like, I guess his role plays out 400 years from now when the Santi grab him and bring him back to life. But then I'm like, but everything he knows is tethered to a world that's going to completely be gone.
Yeah,
So what's the point of that? But then his ship goes off course, like drastically off course. Like for the Santi to pick him up now, they got to go off course like
mm,
light years off course. So you're like, well, so then Will's just drifting in space. His role's played out.
true.
So so what was the
Or
point of that?
or it's me spinning some stuff in the mix. There's a other alien race. They pick up Will and they're like, "Oh, the Santi, you say? Huh, huh. We've been chasing them fools for a while now. Now we know
Right,
where
they're
they're
the
going."
three body problem.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess I guess we could rate this for a season. You want to rate this thing?
Yeah. Uh, I'm so indifferent about this thing. I'll give it a 5. It's mid, to be
It's
honest.
better. It's better than mid. It's got good acting values. The story is pretty interesting. It's also kind of 50-50 on the story because it's slow, but I don't know, man. It's like the thing about the boat getting cut up and then that making zero sense in the grand scheme of thing. And you're trying to show me the way these characters interact. It's visually cool and compelling, but it makes no sense. That I wish that had made more sense. And then the alien race, really the way they're interacting with this warfare makes no sense given the nature of their technology.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm definitely split on that, but I think it's definitely better than mid. Like the production value is pretty high, the acting is good, the casting is really diverse. Like it's got good casting. There's almost it's not traditional leads in the content, which may be because it's written by it's an international writer. It's not a white American guy wrote this story, so they're not bound by putting a white hero lead in the thing. But I think it helps the content. Most scientists aren't just the average white guy, so your heroes aren't the average white guys. Um, there's a lot of cool things that this content checks a lot of good boxes. It's probably a 6 though. So you give it a 5, I give it a 6.
Yeah.
I will come back if it gets a second season, but I'll probably feel the same way. Like, is this thing progressing at a compelling rate? I
Right.
don't know. So collectively, we've given it a 5.5.
All right. That's
All right.
sounds good.
I guess it's time for some recommendations.
Recommendations. Where's the recommendation thing at? All right, let's do that one.
All right. Here's a recommendation if you want content that could be compelling but is ultimately not satisfactory by the time you get to the end of it. Also on Netflix, go watch The OC.
The OC.
Or don't watch it because by the time you get to the end of season 1, you just kind of want your money back. I heard season 2 was great, but they committed to nothing. The OA, I'm sorry, it's called the OA.
Oh, the OA.
Yeah, the OA. The OC. The OA was a Netflix series that's kind of similar. It sets up this whole mystery of what is real and what's happening. And by the time you get to the end of season 1, they don't commit to anything. And I guess my friend watched season 2 and they said, well, they committed to it in season 2. And I go, well, by the time you got to season 2, you just didn't care anymore. You kind of missed the boat. And I was with you the whole way. Just wait for you to commit to it.
I think I have
So,
this saved, but I just never got into it. I never started it. Okay.
well,
Well, now I know not to.
Yeah, I don't recommend it. But again, it was kind of like it was good acting. It was kind of compelling story, and you just wait for something to happen, and then it ultimately never happened. And I guess that's kind of how I feel about this content. You wait for something to happen, and then it doesn't really happen. But then you're like, I guess it's not going to happen. But I guess it's not going to happen, right? Because it's not going to happen in 400 years. All right. So anyway, I guess it's not going to happen. So it didn't happen in the OA. Didn't happen in this. All right, let's get one more recommendation. Sci-fi recommendation. Let's get a sci-fi recommendation of a sci-fi series that's good. How about a recommendation from the audience? Anyone got a good sci-fi recommendation that you can give to us and anyone else who's watching? Throw it in the chat. We'll give you 10 seconds. 10 seconds of silence on this lovely Easter Sunday.
NANI?
Oh. Farscape. Yo, Farscape, Connie.
Connie, Alaska with the win. So,
Right.
recommendation, Farscape. If you want some good sci-fi content, pretty sure I got some Farscape comic books that are just screaming at me to go read also.
Where can I watch Farscape at? Because I want to rewatch that. Man, Farscape, Connie, thank you for bringing me back. Peacock. Am I still in Peacock? We'll see. Farscape.
Farscape. All right, so there's a recommendation of something you can watch if you want sci-fi content that maybe makes some better sense by the end of it. And I think, Rich, that's our show. I don't know how we managed to talk for 2 hours, but it seems like we did it.
Yeah, yes. I mean, it's whenever we get together, we be talking. I mean, you do more to talking. I just be like, hey, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. Was I a little long-winded today? I might have been a little long-winded today. That's true.
No, but listen, this content was like I say, it was one of those things. Like I'm kind of into it because it has some of the elements that I love about it, but there's other things like it's just not making sense. Like I said, Tatiana's character, why was she so strong? Why did they have to chop the boat up? It's just, why are we doing this? Like I need dots to be connected at some point in time.
Yeah. ETC says Firefly, and Firefly, ladies and gentlemen,
Ooh.
is great content. I mean, Firefly was really good content, especially for when it came out. No resolution because that series got cut short.
Yeah.
There's also similar to Firefly, there was a content called Dark Matter. Dark Matter.
Dark
I think
Matter.
they had like 3 seasons. It was on Netflix. Might have been on something else before. It was on Netflix. But Dark Matter. If you like Firefly, you might like Dark Matter. But it's not like
Hmm.
this content.
Okay.
But yeah, good suggestion, ETC and Connie Alaska. And thanks for joining the show as always. If you enjoy the show, tell your friends. If you didn't, tell your enemies. And we'll see you next Sunday, same bat time.
Same bat channel.